Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Help for HDTV. This show is part of a series that we are talking about symptoms associated with Huntington's disease and how they impact families. So we are doing personal family stories about certain symptoms and what they have done to help their loved one. Today, we have Nikki on with us. Let's start by talking about how HD impacts your life and what were the first signs you saw?
First signs when I first met Darnell, oh my gosh, almost 20 years ago, it was super slight. Like you didn't even notice it, didn't even know that, oh, this is Chorea. It could be Huntington's related because when I met him, I had no idea what Huntington's was. They ran in his family, any of that. So it was very super slight with his hand, thought along the lines like maybe it could be a hand tremor because you wouldn't even really notice it. And then just going through the years, like you notice it once you go is to maybe pick something up or grab something in kind of his hand. You didn't even really notice it at all. And then once about his daughter, who has JHD, her diagnosis was his diagnosis. Not knowing Huntington's and what it was until all this was going with his older daughter. I had my daughter, so it was about 5 years ago when all of this kind of started coming to a head and getting more information and knowing what this is. So it's impacted me with it's something new. I don't know what this is. This is a lot of information, totally overwhelming, not knowing what's coming next or what to expect. It's like a punch in the gut, really.
Wow. So Nikki, how has Chorea affected Darnell's quality of life and in everyday living?
Obviously, with writing, it's hard for him to hold a pencil, write his name, sign his name. So it was hard for him to either fill out paperwork or job applications, stuff like that, because at the point he's like, I don't even want to do it. It was discouraging to him that he couldn't do a simple task of writing. Eventually it got worse, so he wasn't able to work, and then the movement started getting more bigger. It started with his legs would be sitting or kicking up in the air, and it's just hard for him to sit still. And then of course you have people that don't know the situation looking like, what's wrong with you? Like, why can't you sit still? So that's hard. And then you have to go into the whole explaining, and it becomes this long explanation and process of explaining why he's moving so much.
Yeah. It's affected his swallowing or his...
When he would be sleeping, like teeth grinding, and a lot of still just like moving around. And again, before not knowing it was Huntington's, you're just like, why is he grinding his teeth? Are you stressed out? Why are you doing that? And yeah, it was hard. It's hard to sleep next to him when he's always moving, and the legs and the arms. It makes it definitely difficult to get a good night's sleep.
Yeah.
For me and him, I'm sure. So with difficulty dressing, it was more fine, like motor skills of buttoning up a shirt. If he wanted to wear his earrings, I'd have to help him do that since the backs are so small. Eventually, it was hard for him to buckle his belt buckle. Shoes was hard putting on as well, and tying. So most of the time, he just left them tied and just slipped his feet in and out of them to make it easier for him to do that. He needed more and more help with it as the Chorea got worse with the movements.
Did you guys make any accommodations around the home, like in the bed, so he didn't injure himself or stuff like that?
Before he had a home aide come, but just for an hour and a half in the morning where he wasn't totally dependent on somebody, but somebody was there if he needed something. And then now with him not able to walk, he has somebody at home all the time with him.
When you're out in public as a family or just you and Darnell, have you noticed any sort of public impact?
There's been a couple of times when we're out that people would think that he's drunk, and he's not. Just by the way he moves, there's that stumble And there's been a couple of times where they've accused him of being drunk, and we're no, he's not. We were actually at a bar, and we complained to the manager about it, told them like the situation, what was going on. They emailed, because my friend had made a post on Facebook about the experience at this place, and they had message my friend telling, we're sorry, if you want to come back, we can offer you this and that. And I just also sent them like screenshots of, this is what Huntington's is, like information. So if you ever come across this again, this is what it is. Pass the information along, then get the word out. Another time we were out at a comedy show, and he was going down some steps, and he tripped and he fell on some people, and they thought again that he was intoxicated, and it was just, obviously it's like, you're embarrassed for him, you feel bad because people think that, and it's not always the case. People don't know your story, and they just assume the worst.
Yeah.
Yeah, that actually happened to my brother in the same situation. He went to have a sandwich with my dad, and then they were like, oh, we'll have one beer. And they wouldn't serve him. They wouldn't serve him because they thought he was drunk. And it caused somewhat of a scene, because my brother's, I'm not drunk, but yet sounds drunk. And so there was just a big misunderstanding. But it takes a lot of awareness and education. So good for you.
And for making it to where that, like Katrina said, that when one time we were on a cruise and we were asked to go back to our room because Mike was too drunk in public, and he was an embarrassment, is what they called him, in front of our young children. And this was one of the cruise guards or whatever, security guys. And so I went back and I was yelling at customer service about this guy, but we have a chance to educate. And what you did was educate, because they came back to you and said they were sorry, and they got it, what you guys were doing, trying to educate them. So I always think that's probably the better route than the argumentative route.
True.
We go like that defense mechanism.
Right.
Yes. Because we understand our loved ones can't help it. They can't, this is beyond, they're not drunk. They're not on narcotics. Mike was on a lot of narcotics because he had to be at the end, but
not recreational.
They're not recreational.
Right,
Exactly. I just had to stop myself there. This is not their fault. And when the public impact comes at us, especially around our children or our friends and our family, we're just out trying to have a good time. We'll just have a good time with our loved ones. And that happens. So it makes us so angry, right?
Yeah, definitely.
You have a young daughter, and how have you seen HD impact her?
Yeah, it's definitely tough because she's so young. She's only 5. I try to be as honest with her as you can be with a 5-year-old. Obviously, she's 5, and all this kind of started with him like really declining when she was born. So she definitely got gypped of getting to know the real Darnell, who he really was, seeing him function like a normal person. She knows he's sick, and she'll say things like, when's Daddy going to get better? And it breaks my heart because you don't want to, he's never getting better. So she seems to handle it okay for being 5, that she doesn't have something weighing her down. She's great with him and helps him out. She's, I'll adjust his pillow, or I'll get him this. Then she'll see things like how other dads are with kids, and there was one, she'll make comments like, oh, I wish my dad can do that, and then your heart just crumbles because, she doesn't understand that it's something personal to her. It's just that he's not able to, he can't help it. So it's definitely difficult, like when he would come over to visit Fridays, but now since he's bedbound.
Yeah, that resonates with me too close to home. I remember when Macy, my 8-year-old, was born. Mike was in the hospital with Chorea in the chair. I literally handed him this she was 9-pound baby with him moving. And so that's literally rocking back and forth, moving. And that has always been her normal. She would say like things, I just have different type of dad because I don't go to the park like in a Father's Day. This school system makes these Father's Day where dads come and have donuts with their kids. What about the kids that have sick parents? You know, that really, I'm like, you're not going to school today because I'm not going to have you sit around and watch.
Mental health day.
Yeah, you're not going to watch dads sit happily eating donuts with their children and when your dad can't even swallow anymore. But yeah, our situation's very interesting having young babies in a house impacted by HD for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah. So I think that we will wrap up for today. Please know during these series, the one thing we're trying to do is one, talk about how these symptoms impact our families and what we do as families to support each other and our loved ones through these, but also know, always seek medical attention for these symptoms because there are things out there for depression and psychiatric behaviors, as well as Chorea. There's Austedo and tetrabenazine that are FDA approved. So there are medications out there. Make sure you seek help if your loved one needs it and see what the medical team can do for them. For now, I think that's it. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel below, and ring the bell for notifications when more shows like this come out.